I want you to imagine a village where the sunset doesn't bring peace, it brings a terrifying deadline. A place where an old bell tower isn't just a landmark, it dictates the rhythm of life and death. This is the story of Khandwa, a village completely held captive by a curse that wakes up every single night, right at 7 p.m. It's almost 7 o'clock, head to your homes. That's the warning that sends an icy chill down every single person's spine in Khandwa. And believe me, this isn't some friendly reminder. It's a panicked cry that echoes through the streets as doors slam shut and entire markets just vanish in an instant. Why? Because in this village, being caught outside after 7 p.m. is a death sentence. So what is actually going on here? Well, Khandwa lives by this incredibly strict, unspoken curfew. And this has nothing to do with law enforcement. This is a desperate, nightly ritual for survival. Every evening, like clockwork, the entire village basically becomes a ghost town. Every living soul is barricaded inside their home, just praying for the sun to rise. Now, let's meet our main characters. A young boy named Dev and his father, Rana. For them, this nightly lockdown is just a grim, everyday routine. As that bell starts to toll, they secure every lock, every bolt. But it's about more than just locking the doors. See, there's a very specific set of rules they have to follow if they want to make it through the night. So, as Dev is drawing the curtains, he sees something completely impossible. Staring right back at him from the darkness is the face of his mother, Nandini. Now, there's a problem here, a really big one. His father told him she was dead. Her voice, it's exactly how he remembers it. She's telling him she wasn't dead at all, just lost, and that she's finally found her way back home. She's begging him, pleading with him to open the door before they arrive. You can imagine, for a boy who misses his mom more than anything, this is an almost unbearable temptation. And this brings us back to Reyna's rules for survival. They're very specific. The curtains, for instance, they aren't about hiding from the spirits. No, they're to stop the people inside from seeing them, from hearing their voices, and falling into their traps. It's a psychological defense, you see, not a physical one. And the most important rule of all, you never, ever let them in. Dev, completely convinced it's his mother, is just seconds away from unlocking the door. And in a flash, Ronan lunges across the room, yanks him away, and kills the lights, plunging the entire house into absolute darkness. The voice outside keeps calling for Dev, but Rana just holds him tight, whispering for him to be silent. So this whole terrifying ordeal leaves us with two huge, chilling questions. First, if that thing at the window wasn't Nandini, what was it? And second, what really happened to Dev's mother? The official story is that she's dead, but it is very clear now that there's way more to it. The next morning, the apparition is gone. A completely shaken Dev demands answers from his father. And Rana, seeing he has no other choice, finally tells him the story of the night his mother disappeared. A story that starts right at the edge of the village. According to Rana, they arrived at 4 a.m., way too late to get into the village safely. So they hid. But while they were hiding, Nandini heard what sounded like a lost child crying. Her maternal instinct just took over. She left their hiding spot to try and help, and that's when the spirits struck. They swarmed her, and Rana barely managed to escape into an old abandoned bus nearby. Okay, so here's the most crucial piece of information. The creatures haunting this village aren't just some random monsters. According to Rana, they are the spirits of former villagers. They look like them, they sound like them, but they are absolutely not human anymore. They are hunters now, and his wife became one of them. But here is the central inconsistency in Rana's story, right? The one that's bothering Dev. Think about it. The spirits had them cornered. Nandini was taken. Yet Rana, who was trapped inside a bus, survived without a single scratch. Why? What was so special about that bus? Dev just can't shake this question. And later that day, as the 7 p.m. bell starts to ring its daily warning, he overhears his neighbor, a man named Bobbin, arguing about that very same night. And in that moment, Dev realizes Bobbin might be the only other person alive who knows what truly happened. With this new sense of urgency, Dev totally abandons his route home and starts following Bobbin. He has to know why his father survived when his mother didn't. He finally corners Bobbin and asks him straight up, "You live near that bus. Did you see anything?" And Bobbin confirms Dev's worst suspicions. He saw everything. He tells Dev the spirits were absolutely desperate to get to his father. They were clawing at the bus, screaming, trying with everything they had to get inside. But for some reason, they were physically unable to cross the threshold into the vehicle. Their conversation is cut short. The 7 p.m. curfew is now in full effect. It is way too late for Dev to make it home. Bobbin grabs him and pulls him inside his own house, just as those familiar, predatory spirits begin to crawl out from the shadows. So now, Dev is trapped inside Bobbin's house, and he is about to witness the final piece of this terrifying puzzle fall right into place. The truth behind the village's curse and the key to his father's survival is just moments from being revealed. And just like the night before, the ghost of Nandini appears, but this time she's at Baban's window, pleading with him, using these familiar, loving words, trying to convince him to let her inside. But then Bobbin does the absolute unthinkable. He walks right up to the door and opens it wide. And instantly, the spirit's behavior changes. A second ago, she was begging to come in, but now that the door is wide open, she doesn't move an inch. Instead, she changes her whole tactic, asking, "Why don't you come outside?" You see the issue here, right? The physical barrier is gone. The door is wide open. And yet, she cannot or will not step across the threshold. So what in the world is stopping her? Bobbin turns to Dev and points to something small, something hanging on the inside of the doorframe, a string of Rudraksha beads. He explains that after Rana's whole ordeal, he went to that abandoned bus himself to figure out why on earth the spirits couldn't get inside. And what did he find? An identical string of beads hanging inside that bus. So it wasn't the vehicle at all. It was this sacred object that created a protective ward. This is how Rana survived. It's an invisible barrier that the spirits are completely powerless against. And Bobbin tells Dev he didn't just stumble upon this by accident. He experimented. He tested the theory, observing the spirit's behavior night after night before he was finally willing to trust his life and his home to the power of that Rudraksha. So the secret's out. They have a defense now. But it leaves us with one last, haunting thought. Knowing the solution is one thing, but can a physical object really end a nightmare when the monsters outside were the faces of the people you once loved? For the village of Khandwa, the physical threat might be contained, but the psychological horror? Is that